So students, once again we meet, and this is the second part of the video which I made for your first short story in your syllabus, that is Salvatore. And we continue from where we had left off in our first video. So we know that Salvatore was a happy-go-lucky sort of a teenager. At the age of 15, the story begins, and we come to know that he had been enjoying his life, living in a rustic environment where life was very easygoing. And then when he came to age, that is when he was around 17 or 18, he fell in love with a girl who lived in the Grand Marina. And this story is based in Italy, and we are told that he had to go to the Navy, where he was ordered to serve for his country. And then he suffered from some kind of mysterious disease. It was actually a form of rheumatism, which made him unfit for further service. And so he was discharged from his responsibilities, and he was asked to leave. He was asked to go back home. So he was not unhappy that he had been discharged. Rather, he was feeling very happy because he would be not only reunited with his own family and would not only be going back to his own place, but also he would be reunited with the girl with whom he was engaged, the girl who lived in the Grand Marina and with whom his engagement had already taken place before he had to go and join the Navy. So let's continue from the next paragraph. He was under the imagination that the girl would be waiting for him. Now let's see what happens. When he got into the rowing boat that met the steamer from Naples and was rowed ashore, he saw his father and mother standing on the jetty. Now what happens is, when a steamer or a ship comes near the shore, it stops at a distance from the shore because the depth of the water decreases close to the coastline, and so smaller boats are sent up to the steamer or the ship to collect the passengers and bring them onto the land. So that is exactly what happened. When the steamer came and stopped near the shore of his hometown, the boat came in and he climbed into the boat, and the boat took him towards the coast. And as he was approaching the jetty where the boat would stop and he would have to get down, he could see that his father and mother were standing on the jetty, and his two brothers who had grown up, they were big boys now, and he waved to them. His eyes searched among the crowd that waited there. Now, for whom was he searching? For whom was his eyes searching? Obviously, his beloved, the girl he loved, the one with whom he was engaged. He was hoping that she would also come to receive him at the jetty, but she was nowhere in sight. So he was searching in the crowd that waited there for the girl. He could not see her. There was a great deal of kissing when he jumped up the steps, and, well, they all, emotional creatures, cried a little when they exchanged their greetings. As it happens, when you come home after a long time, after maybe many months, your family is eagerly waiting to receive you, and mother will obviously embrace her son and will shower him with kisses. She will be so happy. The happiest person is always the mother when son returns home after a long time, and she is also aware of the fact that her son is not keeping well. He has developed some kind of illness, and so the mother, the tender heart of the mother goes out to him, and father, and of course his two brothers. So it's a happy family reunion for Salvatore. So he could not see the girl, and this is what made him sad. He asked where the girl was. His mother told him that she did not know. They had not seen her for 2 or 3 weeks. So in the evening, when the moon was shining over the placid sea, placid means calm and tranquil, and the lights of Naples twinkled in the distance, he walked down to the grand marina. So he decided to take a walk to the girl's house and find out why she hadn't come to receive him. So in the evening, so he arrives, he spends his time with his family, and then by evening, once again, he's refreshed after the journey and he takes a walk, goes to the Grande Marina to her house. She was sitting on the doorstep with her mother. He was a little shy because he had not seen her for so long. He asked her if she had not received the letter that he had written to her to say that he was coming home. Yes, they had received a letter, and they had been told by another of the island boys that he was ill. So, this is what he gathers from them. Yes, we got the letter. But we also came to know from another boy living in this island that you have developed some kind of illness. You are not keeping well. And that illness is not going to get over very soon. In fact, it's a permanent illness, we have come to know. Yes, that was why he was back. They also have this knowledge that he was sent back by the Navy because he was unfit. He was not healthy. He was not 100% fit. So, that is the reason he was back. Was it not a piece of luck? So he tried to reason with them. Yes, I am back because I am unfit. But isn't that something very fortunate for me that I am back so that I can be with my beloved, so that I can solemnize my marriage with her. Our marriage had to be postponed. We were engaged, but then I left. So now, isn't it very fortunate for all of us that I am back? But not really so. They don't feel that way as he does. So there is a difference in their thoughts. Oh, but they had heard that he would never be quite well again. That's what they said. The doctor talked a lot of nonsense, but he knew very well that now he was home again, he would recover. So, the doctors always say lots of nonsense, says Salvatore to them. But I know I am back home, so I'll be all right very soon. Even if the doctor says it's going to be with me for the rest of my life, this disease, I'm sure I'm going to be well very soon because I'm back home. He tries to reason with the girl's mother and the girl. Of course, the girl is not talking to him at all. They were silent for a while, for a little, and then the mother nudged the girl. With her elbow, she pushed her daughter sidewise. She did not try to soften the blow. She told him straight out with the blunt directness of her race. Of her race? Her race refers to her gender, as it happens in case of such females. She is very straightforward and point blank, and she directly says to him, see, this is what happens when you love someone, but that someone does not love you equally well. You try to be all out in love for that person. You are so tender, so emotional. But the one to whom you are generating these feelings may not treat you in the same way. And that is exactly what is happening here. This girl, with her typical female straightforwardness, she speaks up because her mother insists. They had already planned. They had already decided, mother and daughter. So now it was just the nudge of the mother which made the girl speak. So now, with the blunt directness of her race, that she could not marry a man who would never be strong enough to work like a man. Now we must understand here that this society to which both this girl as well as Salvatore belongs, they are basically fishermen and they are basically hardworking people. It's more of a village, this small island where they live, Naples. It's more of a village, this area, particularly this coastal village, where they have some villas, some houses, white cottages, and vineyards, and the rest of the time, when you are not looking after your vines, your grapes, you go out into the sea in your fishing boat and you catch fish. So these are the two important occupations of people in this small place. As a result, hardworking male is what a girl looks forward to and expects to marry. And in case of Salvatore, because they have heard so much negative, so much in negative about him from some other sources, she is not ready to marry him anymore. And she says that to him. They had made up their minds, her mother and father and she, and her father would never give consent. So it's not possible. Mother and father and she, all three of them had discussed this, and decision was already taken. The girl said no. So this proves that for the girl it was just like, the boy is interested, okay, fine, I'll marry. Sooner or later somebody has to marry someone, and why not this boy? All right, fine. But it was not love. There was no love from her side for Salvatore. It was one-sided love. Salvatore loved her, missed her, wrote to her each and every passing day away from home, thought of her, and even when he reached home and reached the jetty, his eyes searched for her. And then he couldn't stay away from her any longer. By evening, he decided to go and find out. And that's how he was here. But the girl and her father and mother, they have clearly said now that this girl will not marry Salvatore. She was breaking the engagement. When Salvatore went home, he found that they all knew. His family knew about it. Actually, the girl and her parents had already informed Salvatore's parents. His brothers knew it, his father and mother knew it, but none had the courage to tell him when he returned home and when he searched for her that she does not want to marry you. They loved him. They did not want to hurt him by saying such a thing, and that's the reason why nobody said anything to him. So when he went out to meet this girl, they were waiting for his return, and that's what happened. When he returned and when he said this, when he broke the news to his family, they said, we knew it, only we didn't tell you. We did not feel like telling you because of two reasons. One is that we couldn't gather courage to tell you, and secondly that it would break your heart. So we were hesitant, we couldn't tell you. So when Salvatore went home, he found that they all knew. The girl's father had been to tell them what they had decided. The girl's father had come and informed Salvatore's father that my daughter will not marry your son. We have heard that your son is suffering from some kind of permanent disease from which he will never recover. So my daughter will not marry your son. The girl's father had been to tell them what they had decided, but they had lacked the courage to tell him themselves. That's what I explained just now. His family did not have the courage to tell him that the girl's father had come and had said this. He wept on his mother's bosom. He broke down. He was crying like a baby. See his goodness, see his tenderness. Though he is a young man, inside him is a very, very tender child. Weeping, and mother embraces him and he's crying. He was terribly unhappy, but he did not blame the girl. See the goodness of Salvatore. Even if she has rejected him, even if he is so badly hurt, his heart broken, yet he is not ready to blame her. That is love. Genuine love, because he is not blaming her even if she has broken up with him. A fisherman's life is hard and it needs strength and endurance. He knew very well that a girl could not afford to marry a man who might not be able to support her. His smile was very sad, and his eyes had the look of a dog that had been beaten. But he did not complain, and he never said a hard word of the girl he had loved so well. This is Salvatore's character. He is so down to earth, so humble, so straightforward and simple, and he never blames anyone. He's always out to help others. He's a very loving elder brother. He's a very loving son for his parents, and he would have been a very loving and caring husband if this girl had married him. But she did not understand his value. She did not understand his worth. She only went by what was practical. That's why it's wrong to say that women are emotional and men are practical. Men are more emotional at times than women, and women are, in matters of marriage, they are more practical. Money and marriage go together. It's something of a Victorian theme, which Jane Austen, famous Victorian novelist, brought out in her novels also. Money and marriage. Where there is no money, there is no possibility of marriage. So, no possibility from the girl's point of view. But how? Simply because of the fact that a girl who is logical will marry a man who has money, who will be able to provide for her and give her all the comforts and luxuries of life. So, that being the case, this girl was practically refusing Salvatore. However, exceptions are always there, so we cannot say that everyone is like that, because every individual has his or her different ways of thinking. So, we must stick only to Salvatore and this girl, and we should not generalize, and we should not say all the men are like Salvatore or all the women are like this girl, which is not true. It never is, never was, and never will be. All human beings are different. So, then a few months later, when he had settled down to the common round, working in his father's vineyard and fishing, his mother told him that there was a young woman in the village who was willing to marry him. That's why I said, when you love someone but that someone does not love you back equally, it's better not to marry such a person. Here you have a girl who loves Salvatore, even though Salvatore has never even thought about her, never even looked at her with such intentions that he should persuade her to marry him, or never even have thought possibly to propose to her. But this girl loves Salvatore, and this girl approaches Salvatore through his mother. Her name was Assunta. Salvatore's reaction: "She's as ugly as the devil," he said. Not that she really was, but this is how Salvatore puts it. Because love, they say, is blind. And Salvatore loved only one girl ever in his life. And that girl to him was the most beautiful in the whole world. Rest of the girls were ugly. So was Assunta, according to him. So it's only from the point of view of Salvatore, maybe she was not so ugly after all. She was older than he, 24 or 25, and she had been engaged to a man who, while doing his military service, had been killed in Africa. So, as it was common in Italy that every young man had to join the military service and serve the nation for some time before being discharged. This Assunta had been engaged to a man who had also joined the military and had been killed. So she was engaged, but she was not married. She's not a widow, but then she is unmarried and she's still a maiden, but she is older than Salvatore. If Salvatore is 18 or 19 or maybe 20, we don't know for how long he was in the service. Well, perhaps he was 2 or 3 years younger than, or rather he was 2 or 3 years younger than this girl. So 24 or 25 she was. She had a little money of her own. So she was a wealthy girl. She had some money. She had some bank balance or some wealth. And not only that, if Salvatore married her, she could buy him a boat of his own and they could make a vineyard that by happy chance happened at that moment to be without a tenant. So there was this vineyard with a cottage. There was no tenant living there, it was vacant. So first of all, this girl could buy a boat for Salvatore so that he could go fishing and earn something by selling fish. And secondly, they could take on rent a vineyard with a cottage and start a family life together. His mother told him that Assunta had seen him at the festival or the fiesta and had fallen in love with him. Assunta had fallen in love. Earlier it was Salvatore who had fallen in love with that girl from the Grand Marina, but now it is Assunta who has fallen in love with him. Salvatore smiled his sweet smile and said he would think about it. He always had a smile on his face. He never reacted vehemently or violently to anything that was told to him. He was always ready with his smile. That is the goodness of Salvatore. He said to his mother, I will think about it. On the following Sunday, dressed in the stiff black clothes in which he looked so much less well than in the ragged shirt and trousers of every day, he went up to High Mass at the parish church. So Sunday is the auspicious day for Christians when they go to the church every Sunday. So Salvatore goes to the church, he dresses up in his best clothes, stiff collared black clothes, and then he goes to the church for the Mass, Holy Mass. And the author says that he looked more comfortable and energetic and good or presentable when he is dressed in his casuals rather than when he is dressed like a gentleman. So he goes to the parish church. Parish means village. A Christian village is called a parish. So he goes to the church and placed himself so that he could have a good look at the young woman. So his intention, because you see what happens is, boy sees girl, girl sees boy, all these seeing each other things happen in public gatherings. So this is the ideal place to have a good look at the girl, because she will also, as a devout Christian, she will also come to the church and he will have a good look at her, because mother has said, think about her. She has given the proposal of marriage. So now let me see how she looks. I've never really looked at her properly. I think she is ugly. Let me still have a look since mother is insisting. Look at Salvatore. So obedient. So abiding by nature. Though he does not want to. But what choice does he have? The girl he loved refused him. Rejected him. So he obeys his mother's instructions and takes a good look at this young woman who loves him. When he came down again, he told his mother he was willing. Like I told you, she's not ugly. She's also all right, presentable, maybe not exquisitely beautiful, but she has the grace of youth. She's a good looking woman. And he came down and he told his mom, okay mom, I'm ready to marry her. Well, they were married and they settled down in a tiny whitewashed house in the middle of a handsome vineyard. Salvatore was now a great big husky fellow, tall and broad, because Salvatore had also come to the prime of his youth. He had grown up, matured into a fine young man, tall and handsome, broad shouldered, but still with that ingenious smile and those trusting, kindly eyes that he had as a boy. So Salvatore is getting married. Salvatore settling down in a tiny whitewashed house in the middle of the handsome vineyard. Salvatore has now grown bigger, stronger, broader, wider, handsome, and he has a wife and he has settled down. But his smile, the original smile of Salvatore, has not yet disappeared from his face. He still has that childish, simple smile on his face. He had the most beautiful manners I have ever seen in my life. So, as a man of good manners, Salvatore was truly an example, says the narrator. Assunta was a grim-visaged female, grim-faced female. Her face bore a grim expression. Okay? Grim means kind of serious and dull, or maybe sad, you could say. So that kind of expression on her face, with decided features, and she looked old for her years. Some people, they look older than they really are. This girl was such a person. So as man and wife, if you saw them together, one could easily say that Salvatore was younger than her. But she had a good heart. That is the best part of this lady. One must accept it, that she had a good heart. And she probably knew quite well about this girl from the Grand Marina whom Salvatore loved. It was only after she rejected him that Assunta decided to propose this marriage to him, because her love was also destroyed when she lost the man in her life in the war in Africa. So only she could understand the feeling of losing someone you love. So this is Assunta. The two of them have made some kind of compromise with life, but then this compromise is a very positive compromise, because they both are loving and caring by nature, and so they understand each other perfectly. Salvatore would not have been happier in marriage if he had married that girl from the Grand Marina. And because she rejected Salvatore, the author does not even tell us her name, because she is not important. More important for Salvatore, the protagonist of our story, is Assunta, his own wife, the girl who loved and proposed marriage to him. So, she had a good heart and she was no fool. I used to be amused by the little smile of devotion that she gave her husband when he was being very masculine and masterful. She never ceased to be touched by his gentle sweetness, but she could not bear the girl who had thrown him over. And notwithstanding Salvatore's smiling expostulations, she had nothing but harsh words for her. For whom? For that girl from the Grand Marina. Assunta would openly criticize that girl for having rejected Salvatore. That she shouldn't have done like this with Salvatore. She had so much of sympathy for Salvatore as a wife. She openly criticized that girl.